welcome back to The Common Theory, the number one competitive Pauper EDH podcast on the internet, soon to be more than competitive Pauper EDH. And that's kind of what we're talking about today, right, guys? But before we get into it, how was your weekend? Chris, how are you, man? How's your back? How are you feeling? It's been a minute.
Oh, dude, I have been all over the place. So I had so many different weird medical issues that came up. I had a whole bunch of just life in general, things with my kids, just life, right? We had a bunch of fires here in Florida.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you name it, it happened pretty good. It was pretty wild. It's just one thing after another. Great domino effect. But now everything is on the up and up again. I'm healthy again. All the medical things are good. Wife is super healthy. Everybody's been doing great. Literally can't complain now. The summertime is here. It's a bit hot, but I enjoy the heat. So I really can't complain about any of that stuff. I'm happy to be back with you guys and moving to a new chapter with the channel. So
sweet. Good to hear it, man. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad that everyone's feeling good, that you're feeling good. The fam is all healthy and well. That's dope. That's the best. So, just in time for summer too, so you can actually hopefully get to the beach and enjoy your summer.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sick. Franklin, how are you, man? How are you dealing with the Florida fires? And
I actually have a fire next to my house, and it's annoying. Yeah,
it's annoying.
Yeah, it's just annoying. Yeah, it's not as bad as his fires. Mine is more like it's kind of on fire, and it smells like smoky wood outside. Okay, I haven't gotten crazy ash fall or anything like that.
Is this just like your local homeless guy just lit a trash can on fire? Is that what's happening?
No, I wish. It's just
That's mine.
Yeah,
those are mine actually. That's how mine start.
Yeah, mine is more of it hasn't rained in forever when it should be raining.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are in a straight up drought then, huh?
It feels like it because usually, because right now it's spring, almost into summer, so it should be eternal drought followed by a torrential rain, but that torrential rain just never happens in the afternoon anymore.
Yeah, it's been kind of weird.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I remember every time, when I used to go down to Miami pretty frequently because my dad used to work down there at his job. He worked for Bell Labs, and he had there was a manufacturing plant for fiber optic cables back in the day, in the 90s and early 2000s, down outside of Miami. So he'd go down to Coral Gables all the time, and so we'd go with him. So we'd be down there a lot, and then I remember, especially in the spring, because we'd go down to meet my dad down there when I had spring break for school. I just remember every afternoon on the dot, crazy rain. You just could not plan to do anything. You're all right, 2 p.m. and you just we just saw the black clouds coming in from the ocean. You see looks like a sheet of black that's just coming in, and then it rains like crazy, and then right after dinner it's beautiful out again.
That just hasn't happened that hasn't happened this year, and it's frustrating.
Wild, weird.
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy because it's so I have a pool, and dude, I have had to fill my pool more than any year ever, dude. I'm just at one point I'm like, bro, is my pool leaking? This shit is crazy. I'm having to fill it every so often, but I'm no, it's just straight heat. It's just that hot. So
Jesus,
it's been pretty bad.
Yeah, but outside of the fires and the crazy weather, I'm happy. My son just graduated out of kindergarten, so
nice. Did you get him a little hat and a little gown?
Yeah, during his graduation walk, they gave him, the little cap and gown. It was cute.
Kindergarten is your graduation walk?
Yeah, I don't get it. It feels like it's something that's perpetuated by big grandparents in order to spend more time with their grandkids and force their parents to spend more money than is needed.
I don't technically disagree with them because that's the way mine were too.
Yeah, because 5th grade, sure, maybe because you're actually changing schools, but pre-K and kindergarten, you don't really need a graduation for that.
They don't know. They're just we're just doing this fun thing. They don't give a shit, right?
Yeah, they're kids
they
at that
really
age.
don't.
I don't think they give a shit.
Yeah, they're just let me go home and play with my Transformers.
Yeah, because at least the fifth graders. Yeah, because at least the fifth graders know, like, all right, there's a chance that I may never see this guy ever again. But speaking of seeing people never again, Rohan, what are we talking about today?
Yeah. So as Chris mentioned or alluded to, we are entering a new chapter for the Common Theory. We're still doing theory, and we're still talking commons. So all that's true to the name, but we're expanding our purview into greener pastures from not just Pauper EDH, but just Pauper. All things Pauper, both 60 card Pauper 1v1 as well as Pauper EDH. So.
Yeah, and to expand out, if the Pendragon people ever reach out to us, sure, we'll talk about Pendragon eventually.
And maybe we can at some point we'll talk Pauper Dan. But
Heyo.
I have a fear about Dan, but I'll bring that up in a little bit.
When I come down to visit you guys, and I got to figure out when I'm doing that. Hopefully this year, we will play Tequila Pauper Dan.
I won't be able to play by that point, bro. I'll be so low in body fat. If it's tequila's involved, it'll be like one. I'll be like, you what?
Yeah, because I think I saw for Magic Fest in Las Vegas. They're doing a non-commander pre-con. So me jokingly said they're probably going to just do a Dan pre-con because competitive Dan exists technically. And it's all the same deck. So how do you get people into Dan? Sell them the precon.
Honestly, if Wizards was smart, they would actually sell a Dan deck.
That's what it is. Secret layer Dan deck.
That would actually be sick. And I haven't bought like an actual secret layer like commander deck, a pre-built at all. Just like cards, like one-off singles and stuff, fill in blanks here and there. But like I think I would actually buy that.
Yeah, I only bought the original one because it was like $100, and I was like, okay, this seems like something special. And at $100, it's a super easy investment. Once they hit $150, I was like, okay, maybe not so much.
If the art is sick, I can see spending up to $150 on a Dan, like a really dope Dan deck. I would do it.
I think I would just do it because it's a fun investment, and you just leave it up, and it's a board game.
It's like it's obviously with friends like who play Magic, it is the best party game.
Next to like Wizard's Tower or Judge's Tower.
But yeah, so expanding into 60 card Pauper. This shouldn't really be news to a lot of you guys who are listening and have been listeners that keep up with us week after week because we really the last like 3, maybe 4 episodes have leaned into 60 card Pauper quite a bit. We've been talking about it a lot, and it's because of that we've made this decision to like officially include 60 card as part of what we talk about here. So, Chris, you want to kick us off with our intro to 60 card Pauper?
Yeah, of course. So what we're going to do for you today, you guys, is we're just going to talk about the meta overall and kind of our thoughts on it. So we're not going to be too specific with a lot of the base things about it, but as we all know, there were some recent bannings, and that really destroyed the leaders of the format as a whole, right? So like now that Brood Scale is gone, that was pretty much the most problematic deck that the format had. And since it's been gone, we really have a lot of open space now. It's very interesting, just the format in general, because I think I'd make an argument that there's no such thing as a best deck currently. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Do you guys feel there's a best deck?
So currently, looking at MTG Top 8, doesn't look like there is much of anything. I don't think there's a specific deck that's consistently topping leagues. The meta share looks pretty like wild and open.
Yeah, I think MTGO obviously because of how it works skews things quite a lot, right? Mm-hmm. I think the better, we're all paper players, right? I also play an MTGO. I don't play a lot on MTGO. I much, much, much prefer playing paper, obviously. I think as most people would. So I build my decks and I choose my decks based around paper meta and paper play. If you look at a lot of the bigger paper tournaments over the past 6 to 8 weeks. I think there are a few decks, though, that are rising to the top in paper. I don't think that's true for MTGO, though.
Can we give a quick example of what we mean by that, Rohan? I think I have a pretty good one. If you let me kind of delve into it real quick as a quick caveat.
Yeah.
So essentially what Rohan is saying, which this might not be too familiar with a lot of you players, but if you play online, there's certain actions that you have to take in passing through phases and certain things like that are actually a little bit difficult if you don't know like the fast keys and things of that nature. So certain decks, as a easy example, would be familiars. So familiars is probably one of the most difficult decks to play online because the infinite combo, you have to run through it and do it, which is not the easiest thing to do. So it's your opponents will make you go through it and things of that nature. So that's just a quick example I wanted to give to just let you guys know, like certain decks like that is like exactly what he's talking about. Because in paper, you could play that same exact list and your opponent, once you do the loop, your opponent will go, yeah, you got it. Scoop up, go to the next game.
Yeah.
So,
You represent an infinite loop, and they're like, okay, cool. We represent the loop. We can continue on. Yeah, exactly. And the other obviously big difference, and the reason why that matters online is that there's a chess clock between the two players. So, obviously in paper, you've got a round timer, but that round timer is for both of you. It's for you and your opponent. You guys have to finish, all your games, best of 3 within, usually it's like an hour or so or less, or just under an hour. 45, 50 minutes or so. On MTGO, you have 25 minutes each. And then as you make your clicks and your decisions, once priority is on you, your chess clock is going down. Once you pass priority, it goes to your opponent, then their chess clock is active. So because of that, you can actually lose by getting timed out, which is not something that's really possible in paper because we don't play with a chess clock. So that's why, as Chris was saying, the click-intensive decks, they take longer to play because you have to click a lot more for your interactions because you have lots of button clicks and lots of interactions. Yeah, Familiars is the classic example. Flickertron, anything with like looping combos, Flickertron, the new High Tide deck, even like bounce decks that use like Skyfishers and stuff. Every time you play it, you're doing these like tiny micro interactions over and over again, like spinning your wheels. Anytime you have to like do lots of these little things every turn, like if you have to do like 5 to 10 things every turn, then that's a deck that's going to be slower and because of that more difficult to play because it's about click economy, and that's just a totally different skill. You can be the greatest player on earth, like you can be brilliant, you could be like a Reed Duke or whatever, but if you don't actually have good click economy, you can still lose games. So that's annoying, right? And it's why the online meta is skewed, because the decks that don't need to click a lot and can play and can win very quickly, that maximize their time efficiently, are the ones that tend to bubble to the top of the amount of the volume of decks played. Mono red is the classic example because you can beat someone by turn 5. You have plenty of time. You're usually doing you're just like, all right, bolt to face, swift for combat, pass, or something like that, right? It's like super quick. You're not making a lot of decisions, and even your opponent isn't really, like, for the most part, because it's so early in the game, they're not interacting too much, so that you don't have these like crazy stack battles, as you would with like a grindy, highly interactive deck, and that's why it skews the meta, because if 20% of players are playing mono red, then guess what? The decks that beat mono red obviously are going to bubble to the top. And then every deck is going to have to update its sideboard to make sure that you're beating mono red and also beating the decks that beat mono red. So, it's just very different.
What do you think is the best deck then? Like, what do you, in fact, not even what you think the best deck is. So what have you been seeing bubble to the top?
The one deck that I've been seeing, and I don't want to go ahead and say it's the best deck because I don't know, but the deck that I've seen put up consistent results, has very few bad matchups, and is very difficult to play against for the majority of decks, is Jund Wildfire. That deck has been overrepresented by a lot in some of the, especially the Italian tournaments. Italians, they love mid-range decks. They, like, classically, over the past 5-6 years, Boros Synth has been the most popular deck in Italy because Italians just love mid-range. They just do. I don't know why they do. So they basically glommed onto the best mid-range deck in the format. And I think that's true. I think John Wildfire is the best mid-range deck. I think that's absolutely true. Whether or not it's the best deck, I don't know yet. But it's way overrepresented, and it's performing. So it's not just like 20. It was like 22% of the last like IPT tournament, and it was like 120 players or something. And most of those, like the top 16 was like 50% Jund, which is nuts.
Well, it's really interesting. So I've actually been following up with the Wildfire list a lot. And the biggest change that I've seen, and I'm not sure if you paid attention to it, but they don't play Snuff Out anymore. That's just, they cut that card clean from the deck because they don't have to play in Brood Scale, right? Mm-hmm. So they're not having to worry about having to tap out. I think one of the big outlier decks as well, just to bring up, because I think this makes the Snuff Out make sense, is Rakdos Madness. That deck has been seeing a ton of play. Actually, this is going to make me sound horrible. I think the deck's like trash. I don't think the deck is good.
Ton of play.
But it's seen a ton of play. And you don't want to snuff out against that deck. It's just worthless. So I think they've catered the list to beat those decks. And I really appreciate it because you can even tell from a lot of the sideboard slots that they're doing right now. So I just find it to be interesting because Snuff Out was like, in the old meta, you kind of couldn't leave home without it. Like, you had to play Snuff Out. So,
yeah, there are very few decks that have a positive matchup against that deck. Most decks go even or are really unfavored. So it's just a good deck. It's a really strong deck. I would never play it because I think it's like watching paint dry. But it's sweet and it's tough. It's a tough deck to play against. One of, once again, Eric, good friend of the podcast. Eric is like a Jund Wildfire main, so I play against it a lot, and I have to say the deck is frustrating to fight against.
So let's move over to Franklin for a second. So I know you played a few off meta decks, Franklin. Let's talk about one of your favorites, your pet deck, I guess we could call it. How do you think it's positioned currently?
Elves wins random events online.
It does.
Straight up,
it does.
Yes, it does.
Like, it just wins the events that are like, oh, cool, I only have to win like 3 games in a row. All right, we'll win the 3 matches in a row that it needs to win. Because, like, it just gets there, just does what it needs to do on, like, by turn 3, turn 4, it's already set up. There's already, like, a million dudes on board, and you can't stop it. It's beautiful, actually.
So what do you think of it overall, though? Like, just generally in the meta, do you think it could actually start seeing more consistency overall? Because personally, I actually think that's pretty good. I actually think Elves is pretty well suited, and I know someone in the comment section is going to hit me. Well, Karkland Shaman exists. Yes, I know. I play it too, but if you don't draw,
that's like what the only bullet you realistically have to dodge.
Yeah, that's about. Well, I mean. From what I've seen, quote me in the comment section, guys, but I've even seen a lot of people have been cutting like the breath weapons and stuff out of the sideboard because like the new variant of red deck wins, you don't really need to, like, they're just the 1/2s now. You're not having to worry about Koldatha anymore. So you don't really have to like sweep them entirely. So I haven't been seeing a lot of breath weapons personally, but.
Yeah, again, like the only real threat I have is like Karkland Shaman. All I really have to do is pray to God they don't play red. And if they do play red, just pray to God they don't draw into it, and I'm fine.
Honestly, though, play your outs, right?
Like
your sideboard is like actually like it's almost like at least half the sideboard is built to like fight that card.
Pretty much.
Yeah, Hydroblast, Blue Blast.
Dude. Play 8 blasts.
You have 8 blasts.
8 blasts.
So, okay, hear me out. Hang on.
Like all these regenerate cards.
Hear me out. Look, Rohan, hear me out, dude. We saw this in a recent list, and I feel like a buffoon for not thinking about this. Listen to this shit. Listen to this tech. Okay, guys, out there. This is going to be the tech for the episode. Elves plays Winding Ways and Lead the Stampedes, right? So when you reveal your sideboard cards off the top, if you mulligan down, you're fucked, right? Because you can't get the Blue Blast, you can't get the Hydroblast, right? Now, those cards, are, just like you said, are specifically to fight Karkland Shamans. So you need to draw them. Bro, the biggest brain ever. Me and Franklin saw a deck where this dude just put 4 spell stutter sprites in the sideboard. Because you rip up to your hand and you counter the card clan. Oof.
It's not even like a crazy tech. It's not even like a hard ask.
Yeah, walls.
It is a hard ask, dude.
Doing that too.
No, why? You have other fairies in the deck. You have the masked vandals, and you have the other shapeshifter.
4 vandals. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's sick. It's sick tech.
It's just.
I love that Elves is so like flexible. It's so flexible, right? You can build it so many different ways, and it's all good. Is really cool.
I still rather prefer the build with Nettle Sentinels because just untapping those is like you just win.
So let's kind of finish this one up because this is going to be a little short one for you guys, but let's end it on a really high note. Leave the viewers with something really cool and just say what decks specifically we would take to a tournament setting, and so they could kind of be in our heads of like what we'd like to play. So I'm just going to start it off since, I got the floor already, and then we'll jump to you two guys. What I personally would play in a tournament as of tomorrow would be one of 2 decks. And you guys are going to call me a boomer for this one, but it would be Boros Bully or Affinity. That's what I would play. Those are the 2 decks of choice.
Which flavor of Affinity?
Tournament setting. Karklin Shaman Affinity. So, the refurbished familiars. The tech that I have.
The correct affinity.
Yeah.
The correct affinity, yes. Exactly. Yeah. So, but with that, those are my decks of choice. Rohan, what is yours?
Yeah. Boros Bully is a bold choice that I highly respect. I love that. You're like the only one.
I know.
That's cool. And Affinity makes total sense. Like that. And I don't even know if this is low key. I feel in my heart of hearts, deep down, even if it might not be putting up the best numbers, I think that is the best deck in the format right now.
I've been working on new builds.
With Jund being like really, really strong and overrepresented. I think it's just because people are bored of Affinity. I think at the end of the day, I think they're just not playing it because they find it boring. And it's kind of like the old school big bad, right? It's always been the big bad, and people just like don't want to be the villain, so they don't want to play Affinity.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They'd rather play the new hotness, right? They want to play High Tide. They want to play all Jund because it's like newish. They just don't want to play what I think is actually the best deck, which is Affinity. Anyway, if I was going to go to a tournament, which I'm going to the NYC Pauper Open on Sunday, which will be, I think, the biggest Pauper tournament in the U.S. up until now. I think that'll be the biggest one. I think it's like 130 people, I want to say, something like that.
What are you playing?
It's big. Do I give it away? No one listens to us anyway.
It comes in like it will be like a week after later. You'll be fine.
So I was actually just testing some decks before we got on this call, trying to figure out what I'm playing, and then obviously I'm playing locals tomorrow. So I'm going to bring whatever deck I'm playing. Then honestly, I haven't really figured it out yet. I'm playing. It's like I'm split between a few different decks right now. FAMS is my best deck. It's the deck that I play the best and that I have a lot of experience playing. I've played it for many years. And
white, blue, or Esper?
White, blue. I cut the snuff outs because we don't need them anymore because I'm not dying to turn 2 combo.
Yeah.
Thank God. White, blue with High Tide. It's like a hybrid High Tide list. I'm running like 2 High Tides, 1 Merchant Scroll, but the rest is like very classic familiars. It's like the GN list, but with like splashing High Tides. It's pretty sweet because you could just like go over the top and go infinite like turn 5, turn 6 and just like win. Or you can like play your Modern Ages, discard the High Tides, not give us some shit. Or you can just use High Tide as like a ritual, as a dark ritual, and just get like a, turn 4 Lorien Revealed, right? It's like still good with protection, right? So like that's pretty good. It's been performing really well for me, and I made it. I'm in top 32 maybe top 16 for the Paper Pauper League. I went
Nice.
Nice.
I'm right now. I'm 3-1 in Swiss, and I won my 3 games that I won. I didn't lose a single match, so like I'm like 7-2, right? In like matches.
Jesus.
So it's
Yeah, that's
good. It's been performing. It's good. It's good. And honestly, I lost my last game because I misplayed. I fucked up, and it's my own damn fault. I missed the line, so it's not the deck. The deck's good. I'm probably gonna bring that. My other choices that I'm thinking about are either also Affinity, even if it's boring, it's just good, right? And I like it enough that I can play it for like 7 rounds of Swiss. And the other deck, the other like sort of 1 to 2 I'm thinking about. These are more like cuspers. It's either Coggate or Mono, which I think is actually pretty good in the meta. It's just that the Coggate Jund matchup sucks. It's so bad for Coggate. And
I know how to fix it. I've been testing that. I have Coggate as well, so I know how to fix it. Yeah.
I just get outdrawn, honestly, and it's like I need to hit like double dusted us and dust their land so that they're so far behind that they can't catch up. Because like
you don't have to
like
Yeah, I totally get it. You gotta do so. You need your life gainers to just get to like the 40 life point range, and then they just can't catch you, and you don't give a shit about your hand anymore at that point. So it's
that's true. Part of it is just I wasn't seeing them, and like in my build I'm running. I have like obviously all 4 cats, and I'm just running 1 outlaw medic.
Yeah, I'm at the 3 right now, and I'm probably going to go to the 4th. Yeah, they're insane against burn. They're insane against like half the meta.
I don't care about burn. The burn matchup is like a whatever. That's like a 9-1 in favor of Kage.
I mean, they're also good in a lot of other matches, though. Yeah, I have Kages literally right here next to me.
Yeah,
so.
maybe that is the way. But yeah, it's just like even. I feel like even when they like always kill an outlaw medic, it's like great. I'll take that trade because I draw a card. But it's like I'm drawing 1 card and they're drawing 5. And I'm like, well, shit.
I
figured that one out. And I wasn't playing. The other thing is I changed my list a little bit after my matches today. I'm now playing more dispels because instead of spell pierces, I cut the spell pierces for dispels.
I'm not playing.
I really just need to dispel those card draws because I can't let them outdraw me that badly. You just lose.
I'm actually pretty
Kage,
low on.
Other than that matchup, I actually feel really good about that deck and almost everything else. Yeah, I think it like totally craps on like the spy decks.
It's 6 land
shuts
spy.
down all the graveyard decks so easily. Yeah,
quad Raven Charms.
And,
crazy.
Yeah.
Cards.
So it's
how do they beat that? I don't think they do.
They don't.
They don't beat that.
They can't. You're playing counter spells and you're playing Raven Charms. You're screwed.
Yeah.
Can't win. So like I think it's really good into a lot of decks. I think it actually goes even with elves too because it's just like there's too many things and it's like you're hitting them, you're attacking them on too many different axes, and it's really hard to board against Coggate for elves, especially if you're hitting your strands. If you're not hitting your strands, you would probably just lose. But as long as you get your strands, you can buy time, then you're probably good. Also, I have a one-off Guardian. If you can land Guardian and Puppet, they're just dead. So, the last deck. So yeah, Coggate, and the other one is Mono Blue Fae, which Mono Blue Fae is always good. I think I'm predicting a lot of High Tides in this meta, and that deck just eats High Tide alive. It's got to be like I played it a bunch, and it just feels completely unwinnable for Tide. It's good into a lot of decks. I think
it's also bad in a lot of decks, though. Fairies is really.
It's also bad into a lot of decks. It's really bad into Skyfisher decks, right? So the more Mardu that shows up and Boros that shows up, the worse it is for Fae. But I actually don't mind it into anything else. It's just I don't want to.
No. The Gruul deck is like it's just an auto loss. You play against Stompy, you just lose. You just like they played a 6/4.
It depends on the version.
I die.
It loses to Cascade Gruul, but
that's
they're not on Cascade. If they're Cascade lists, I think it goes even with that.
Yeah, I don't even like that Cascade Gruul list. Every time I ever say Cascade, it's always for a Wild Growth. It's always for a Llanowar Elves. Here's an Arbor Elf.
Yeah, but it's that deck is just like that's just the cocaine deck, right? It's like you hit the moment you hit like Altasaur boarding party like to like land destruction or to like anything else, you're just like yes.
It's not worth it. To me, it's not worth it. Like I'll just do some other stuff recreationally rather than playing that deck.
All right, Franklin. Well, those are Rohan's. What is your deck for a tournament tomorrow?
All right. If I really don't want to think, Affinity.
What?
Yeah.
You don't want to think? Are you kidding me?
That's a hard deck. That's not a thinkless deck.
I don't know, because like whenever I play it, I just kind of turn off my brain. I'm like, this just feels natural.
Do you win?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. It is strong. It is just strong. Against like people who don't know, if you're against noobs or people who don't know what you're doing, you can literally do anything and just play cards and win because it's that good.
Yeah, but I don't know what to tell my local play group at Gator's house.
But like the moment you go up against like the like actual sideboards of Artifact Hate, that's when like the real Affinity players like come out. It's like that's when you like know your shit. You're like they're like, all right, dust to dust, and you're like, all right, yeah, stack my lands and like draw a bunch of cards, and you're like really just focusing on the engine piece. And
again, like that just, but again, that just seems more like okay, this is what should naturally happen. So I don't really have to think. I'm just naturally reacting to what's going on.
Affinity player, and you should just play the best deck.
Probably, because the other joke was like I really like elves. I'm pretty sure I could just do well with elves.
So
again,
all right,
not
here. This is quite crazy, right? You're saying turn your brain off to play Affinity, but then you go and say, "But I play elves."
Yeah, I also turn off my brain to play elves.
Bro.
I think I just turn off my brain whenever I play Magic. Like the deck just pilots itself.
Like, yeah, I don't speak your language, Franklin, or know what you're talking about.
I actually think both of those. Funny enough, I feel that both of those decks actually play really similarly, in that they either steamroll people or like there's a lot of hate against both of those decks. And to be really good at the deck, it's not about winning a game 1; it's about winning a game 2 and a game 3 into significant hate. And like that's where like the good players separate from the mediocre players of both of those decks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, that and like I'm pretty sure if I play elves and I just do the elf ball thing and they don't say I concede, I'm like, I'm gonna run out the clock. As long as I win game 1, I'm good for this match.
With all that said, I think you guys got a pretty good handle of what we're gonna be doing moving forward. We're gonna have a pretty interesting next week for you guys because we're actually gonna be like breaking down some of the meta and things like that, really diving into the 60 card mindset. So very excited for that. But with all that said, thank you guys again for a great episode. And can you take us home, Franklin?
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you made it this far, you're one of the real ones. And even with the format change that we're going to be doing, we're still found on all of the social media platforms. We're still on Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok. If anything, share this with your friends. Hit subscribe. We want to hit over 1,000 by October. We're going to be going to MagicCon Atlanta at the end of September. So come meet us out there. And with that, everyone, have a great week. Thank you for watching. And if you want to support the channel, please subscribe and join the Discord in our link below. And become a member over on our Patreon.
Shout out to all of our patrons: Eric, Cobraman, Aaron, Dax, Devin, NYC Burrito, Little Rat Lotad, Frank, Scoob, HZ, and Too Much Do. Thank you for all of your support.